Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday to all of you. Obviously, we're doing this just a little bit differently here with this YouTube video. Just a couple reminders for this week before I get into this too much. Reminder number one, we are not going to do start-outs this week. So no start-outs. It's a short week anyway. It's a little bit too challenging to really do the start-outs. So I'm not even going to do it. No start-outs. Number two, if you have any issues about maybe the online calls getting a little glitchy, you missed something, you weren't sure what to do, you can refer back to these videos and watch them again by looking on the on-campus bulletin board. And I have linked the YouTube videos. We talked about this last week. My YouTube channel, you could either search up my YouTube channel and rewatch these videos, or I should have posted the links in the on-campus bulletin board. So those are two different things that you can do. The big item that we have up for grabs this week, the big thing we're going to be working most specifically on, is our big Unit 4 assessment. That is our test for Unit 4. Unit 4 is the unit we've been doing, Literature of Place. We're going to be taking the test on that unit. So your job this week is to get yourselves prepared for it. The test will be on Wednesday, but we're going to do a few items today that are going to get you set up to be able to study over the next couple of days so that you're ready for the test on Wednesday. And those are some of the things I'm going to show you right now. So first up, if you go to On Campus, please, and go ahead to the topics area right here. So you're going to go to topics, and then of course you open up the topic right here, grit and grandeur. You're going to notice that at the very bottom of the topics page is the Unit 4 test study guide. It's been there all along, but it's time to open it up and take a look. All right, so here is the study guide. And yeah, it's looking a little small right here, but you guys should be able to see it pretty easily on what you're doing. So we will just kind of do that way. All right, so you can see, first thing I don't mess around with, and I just want to tell you guys this right away, I don't mess around with putting tons of things on the study guide that won't be on there. You can guarantee, I will guarantee to all of you right now, if something is on this study guide, that means there is a question, there is something on the test that has that on it. So it's very important for you guys to know when you're studying, everything on this study guide you need to know. That starts with key terms. These are some of the key terms that we learned when we were going through the various stories. These are all things that would be found in your book at the end of the story, normally the craft and structure section of the story. Things like an anecdote, social commentary, word choices like technical, colloquial, formal, and regional dialect, symbolism, repetition, metaphors and similes, personification, figurative language, idioms, overstatements and hyperboles, and the author's purpose, which would be including to entertain, inform, describe, or persuade. These would be the terms you must know. Now, this test isn't going to have a definition section where you got to say, what is an idiom? What this test is going to do is it's going to ask you to find an idiom in text. So in other words, the test will have a question that maybe a text selection. It'll have a little part of a story that you'll have to read, and then you'll have to find an idiom in there. So in order to do that, you have to know what it is. Or you may have to find examples of symbolism or social commentary or colloquial language. And in order to do those activities, you have to know what those things are. So it's going to be very important over the next couple of days that you make sure you review these key terms and figure out, what these things are, review them, and make sure that you're able to use them and find them in text. The next important thing, and this is going to be one of the bigger parts of the test, is going to be a paragraph. You will be writing a portion of an expository essay. We've been working on this unit. We worked on expository essays. You wrote one. Your significance of place essay was expository. And one of the biggest part of your test, the part that's going to be worth the most, I think your test is only 16 questions long. And that might seem like you're going to get it done in 10 minutes. But if you're doing this test correctly, let me just tell you, it should take you 35, 40 minutes to complete. Mostly because of that last question, question number 16, which is going to be basically you're writing a large portion of an essay. So you need to be familiar with knowing the different parts of an essay, parts like an introduction, a central idea, and supporting sentences. All right? Now, that brings me to the next part of this, which is selections of the actual test. So if we scroll down just a little bit more, you're going to see there's a poem here called Sunrise. Why do I have a poem sitting here? Keep going down. There's another poem called Mockery. Okay, so the reason why these two poems are on the study guide is because these two poems are going to be a couple of those different examples that will be on your test. Do not come to the test on Wednesday without having studied, looked at, and read and reread these poems and this selection that I'm about to show you. That is what's going to get you guys prepared to be successful in the test. If you come on Wednesday and you have to read everything and you've never even seen this poem before, you've never even read this text selection before, you're going to be in trouble. The reason I give you these ahead of time is so you can read them. And you already know similes, metaphors, idioms, that's what this test is going to be asking you to find. So what really successful and smart students do, if they want to do well on this test, is they read these poems and they try to find this stuff, find the literary terms in the poems and in the selection in advance. And that's going to help you to be more successful. So make sure that you read these poems, read this selection right down here in advance. Here's the selection that you got to read. So this story also is going to be one of those longer stories that's going to be in the test, and you're going to be asked a lot of questions about the story. So if you've read the story 4 or 5 times and you've looked at it critically, all of a sudden it's going to be so much easier for you to answer those questions than a person who just comes to the test, they've never read that before, and all of a sudden they have to analyze something they've never looked at. Students who do that are always less successful. So I want you to be successful. Please make sure you do your work to get ready, which is to read these things in advance. That's pretty much the study guide. Now, that being said, I want to do one more thing here that's going to help you to get ready for your study guide, and that would be using Savas. If you could all go into Savas right now. And if you go into your assignments in Savas, you're going to see a new assignment there that should say Unit 4 Test Practice Questions. I know it's going to take you a minute to get there, but while you're getting there, this is what we're going to do for probably the next 10 minutes or so in class. I would like you all to go to that assignment right there. No, not Poetry Collection 1 and 2. You're going to go to Unit 4 Test Practice Questions. You're going to open it up, and you're going to start it. Now, what that will bring up is 4 questions. I would like you to partner up with one other person in the class. If we happen to have an odd number today, you can feel free to get in a group of 3. But partner up with one other person in the class. Everybody finds a partner. That's not non-negotiable right here. So find a partner and work through these questions. Online students, again, you may have to work through this on your own, but you're going to work through this together with a partner, trying to figure out these questions. These questions are taken right off of the test. Now, I didn't choose these ones, so when you come on Wednesday, you're not going to see these exact same questions, but these questions are exactly like the ones you will see on the test. So your job is going to be to read this little selection over here on the left, just like you'll have to do on Wednesday, and then answer the 4 questions that go along with it. Do this in class, hit submit. This is not a graded thing, don't worry. Hit submit and see what you guys get as far as grades go. You and your partner might notice you get some questions wrong. If you get questions wrong, then see if you can find some other groups that got them right to figure out what the correct answers were that we were looking for. This is a helpful thing. I've noticed over the past years that I've done this, being able to do that and talk about why this one was right and why this one wasn't right, This usually helps students be better prepared for the test you're going to be taking on Wednesday. So you're going to be taking about 10 to 15 minutes in class time right now after our substitute stops the video. You're going to be taking about 15 minutes in class to do that as a group. Online students, again, I'm sure our substitute will probably mute the call for a little while so that if you want to talk to other people in the call, like maybe you do your questions and you got a couple wrong, you could ask people in the call, hey, what was the right answer on this one? Did anyone get it right? So that you can figure out what the correct answers were that everybody was looking for. All right, so that's really what I would like you guys to do next. That kind of brings me to the final thing that I would like us all to do, and that is as soon as we're done doing that, okay, as soon as you're done spending about 10 or 15 minutes, our substitute at about no later than 7, I would say probably, let's go about 7:10, or I mean 8:10. At about 8:10, wherever you're at with this process of doing the practice questions, please stop. And at 8:10, you're going to go back to Savas. And you are going to go into this assignment right here. It looks a little bit different. It's got dots instead of a check mark. It's called Poetry Collection 1 and 2. And this is a quiz on the poems that we studied last week. This would be the poems from Carl Sandburg, Chicago, and Wilderness. This would be the Longhouse poem and A Cloudy Day poem. So this would be the quiz that we're going to take right here in class as well. If we started at 8:10, you should be able to finish it just fine. So what you do right now, first thing is you go into Savas and you go to those Unit 4 test practice questions. You work on that with a partner. You spend the time necessary to do that. Then at 8:10, our substitute will tell us, okay, we got to finish up with that now. We got to stop and let's all get back to our individual desks and work independently on the Poetry Collection 1 and 2 quiz that you have. That's what you got to do. Make sure that you are spending since you don't really have legitimate homework to do for tomorrow, you're spending your time getting ready for the test, filling out that study guide, making sure you know those literary terms. All right, have a great day, and we will see you tomorrow.